Hello, I'm Ellen Hanak. I am Senior Fellow and I'm the leader of PPIC's work on water policy. Since the mid-2000s, PPIC has brought together interdisciplinary teams of experts to explore solutions to one of the state's toughest water management challenges, improving the economic and environmental sustainability of the Sacramento-San Delta. Today, I'd like to talk to you about our latest Delta study, which focuses on a very contentious topic: how Californians can best address the multiple causes of stress to the Delta's native ecosystem. The Delta is a critical conveyance hub for California's water supply, and it's also a threatened ecological resource, with several native fish facing extinction. To date, regulatory efforts aimed at reversing these declines in fish species have focused on just a few areas. One is reducing water exports to the southern half of the state. A second is upgrading wastewater treatment plants in areas upstream of the Delta. And then the third has been reducing the catch allowed by recreational and commercial salmon fishermen. That said, there's growing scientific evidence that a wider range of factors is contributing to the ecosystem crash. This includes things like habitat loss, upstream water management, and fish hatchery policies. And there's also considerable uncertainty about which combinations of actions will be most effective at reversing declines. Unfortunately, science is increasingly used to support particular views in the courtroom rather than a common vision of how to manage the ecosystem better. In our new study, we used a wide-ranging set of approaches, including scientific, economic, and legal analyses, workshop discussions, and surveys of scientists, policymakers, and stakeholders to examine steps California can take to turn things around. Here are some of the key findings. So first, the strategy. The Delta ecosystem has been transformed by 150 years of human uses of land and water resources. What this means is that there's really no going back. We need to seek realistic ways to improve ecosystem health by creating a novel ecosystem. An approach known as reconciliation ecology offers a hopeful path forward. The aim with this kind of approach is to restore natural processes wherever possible and practical, and that especially means more favorable flows and more favorable habitat, and also thinking about how to use infrastructure and technology like fish hatcheries to support native species. This approach acknowledges that there will need to be continued human uses of the Delta's land and water resources, so it's very much in line with the co-equal goals for the Delta that are now part of state and federal law. So the second key finding relates to the role of science. Science is going to need to inform strategies to improve the health of the Delta's ecosystem on an ongoing basis. But ultimately, the strategy needs to be broadly supported by Californians who are going to be bearing the costs. Our surveys found some areas of common ground between scientists and stakeholders on priority actions for the Delta, but also some areas of disagreement. In particular, stakeholders were more likely to prioritize actions unrelated to their own uses of the Delta's resources and to shy away from actions that would be costly for them, even if these actions could be very effective in helping native fish. So we need to change how we do this. To build shared understanding of the ecosystem and to inform management on an ongoing basis, Delta science needs to be restructured. What we're proposing is a common pool approach with new joint powers authority involving regulatory agencies and regulated parties and other key stakeholders to set a common agenda for transparent, independent research to support decision-making on the ecosystem. So third, even with broad agreement on what's needed to improve the health of the Delta's ecosystem, it would be very hard to implement such a program effectively within today's institutional landscape. Despite some recent progress, Delta policy and management are still highly fragmented, involving dozens of federal, state, and local entities with different agendas, often acting at cross purposes. So to address this, we propose several additional steps to foster more integrated approaches. And one that I'd like to point out is the key area of environmental permitting, which is currently a complex, costly obstacle to ecosystem investments. So we're proposing creation of a new office within the governor's office, which we're calling the Delta Ecosystem Regulatory Coordinator, and this office would create more coordinated permitting process and reduce delays. So just to wrap up, we need a game plan in California for a more environmentally effective, fiscally responsible approach. And we think that the elements that we highlight in this study really can help us get there. Policymakers in the position to make a stronger case to stakeholders and the broader public to support this valuable yet threatened place of natural heritage within our midst. Thank you.